In this second video for the basics of Illustrator, what we're going to do is take the two shapes that we drew in the last video. We're going to do something weird and wonderful with them, just so that you can see how much you can do with Illustrator just by knowing the bare basics of what you're doing. For the next thing we do, what we're going to need is to bring up a small set of tools. So we're going to go to Window and Pathfinder. And a small window should come up. I know some other tabs are there. We can ignore them for now. But we want the Pathfinder one here. I'm going to click on the black arrow. I'm going to take my green rectangle and move it just here on top of the orange rectangle. I'm going to, with my mouse, select both. Now, one thing to note, most programs need you to select the whole shape, including the outside of the shapes, to select both. Illustrator is kind of different. All you have to do is kind of select a little bit of each shape and it will select the whole shape, and that saves a lot of time. Now what we're going to do is just go through these four buttons over here and see what they do. Well, the first one is called Unite, Union, Join if you will. So we're going to click that, and what you can see here is that the original orange and green rectangle have become a brand new shape. They are one shape, which I now can't separate. If I undo them, you'll see what happened. Now it's also worth noting that whichever shape is on top is the color that the united shape will take. And we can prove that just by going to the orange rectangle and we're going to move it forward. And we do that simply by going to Object, Arrange, and Bring to Front, like so. So the orange shape is in front. We'll select both shapes and unite them. And you can see whichever shape is at the front, that's the color that the new shape will take. Let's just undo that again. Undo that again because I like the green in front. Let's select both shapes and look at this one, which is called the minus. What we're going to do is just click on it. And what happens is whatever shape is at front cuts itself out of the shape that's at the back. So again, we can prove that just by going to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. We'll select both shapes again and click on that one. So whichever shape's in front, it's cut out of the shape that's behind, like so. We'll select them both again and click on this one. This one is called the intersect, and what that does, although it doesn't look like much happened, what happened here, if I just undo that, is where the two shapes overlap is the only thing that's left, which can be useful. It doesn't make much sense in terms of rectangles because you can just draw one, but you can imagine if you're cutting a circle out of a rectangle, it's way more useful then. And let's make sure both are selected and click on that last one, which is called the exclude. And what that does is whatever is overlapping between the two shapes is deleted, leaving only the outside of the shapes. Now we're going to go through those tools again. Before we do that, I'm going to delete the green rectangle. I'm going to go to the rectangle button, click on it and not let go of my mouse. And then I get the option to draw a whole other range of shapes. I'm going to go to the ellipse or the circle tool. And I'm going to very simply draw a circle, like so. Now you can see that Illustrator is really helpful. That's a perfect circle. And as soon as I do that, it's not. So let's just draw one of those circles. And what I'll do is I'll put that just there, select both shapes. Now if I put a union here, you can see that's a much more difficult shape to make, a rectangle with a circle attached to it. If I do that again with the minus, you can see that again, that's a really useful tool. We can now cut odd shapes out of rectangles. If I click that one, you can see I've got a quarter circle. And lastly, you can see whatever the overlap was, I've minused one from the other. You can see just by using these four tools in the Pathfinder, you can create some really complicated shapes using just very simple shapes. So for example, if we were to just make 4 copies of the circle, like so, if we selected all of them and clicked on the minus, you can see that we can create very complicated shapes really quickly just by using basic shapes, overlapping them and clicking one of these buttons.